Story 1 of 24. AFL player Lance Collard found guilty of homophobic slur, faces suspension and appeal. AFL player Lance Collard found guilty of homophobic slur, faces suspension and appeal. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Lance Collard was found guilty by the AFL tribunal of using a homophobic slur, "fucking faggot," against Frankston player Darby Hipwell during a VFL match on March 27, 2026. Collard denied using the slur and claimed he said "come here, maggot" instead, supported by a statutory declaration. The AFL initially sought a 10-week suspension for Collard, citing repeat offending and the need for a strong deterrent. Collard was already serving a 2-match ban for a high hit on an opponent in the same VFL match where the slur was alleged. Collard was previously banned for 6 matches in 2024 for using the same homophobic slur. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Collard was initially given a 7-week ban, with 2 weeks suspended, on April 14, 2026, while ABC reports a 9-week ban, with 2 weeks suspended, on the same date. The Guardian states the AFL pressed for a 10-week suspension, while ABC states the AFL sought a 10-week ban, which would be 8 matches if served entirely in the VFL. The ABC article mentions that Darby Hipwell was not offended by the slur, while other sources do not mention this detail. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 2 of 24. Ben Robert Smith charged with war crimes in Afghanistan, facing 5 murder counts. Ben Robert Smith charged with war crimes in Afghanistan, facing 5 murder counts. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Ben Robert Smith was arrested at Sydney Airport on April 7, 2026, by the Australian Federal Police, AFP, and Office of the Special Investigator, OSI, over alleged war crimes. Robert Smith was charged with 5 counts of war crime, murder, each carrying a potential life sentence, related to incidents in Afghanistan between 2009 and 2012. The alleged victims were unarmed Afghan civilians or prisoners who were not taking part in hostilities, including Mohammed Essa, Ahmadullah, Ali Jan, and 2 unnamed prisoners. Robert Smith was granted bail on April 17, 2026, under strict conditions including surrendering his passport, reporting to police 3 times a week, and a $250,000 shorty. Robert Smith was previously found to have committed war crimes in a 2023 defamation case against 9 newspapers, where Justice Anthony Besanko ruled the allegations were substantially true to the civil standard of balance of probabilities. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and news.com.au report Robert Smith was arrested at Sydney Airport on April 7, 2026, while some sources like ABC mention the arrest was on April 5, 2026. The Guardian states Robert Smith was on the verge of leaving Australia permanently, while news.com.au and SMH suggest he was planning to relocate overseas but not necessarily permanently. The Guardian and news.com.au describe Robert Smith's arrest as highly public and dramatic, while ABC notes Robert Smith's lawyers did not apply for bail immediately after his arrest, leading to his initial detention. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 3 of 24. Gina Rinehart's court battle over mining royalties and ownership claims. Gina Rinehart's court battle over mining royalties and ownership claims. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Justice Jennifer Smith ruled that right prospecting is entitled to 50% of past and future royalties from the Hope Downs iron ore project, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The court case involves Gina Rinehart's company Hancock Prospecting and the family of her late father's business partner, Peter Wright, over mining tenements pegged in the 1950s. The Hope Downs mine is a joint venture between Hancock Prospecting and Rio Tinto, producing about 45 to 50 million tons of iron ore annually. The legal battle began in 2010, with a trial held in 2023 lasting 51 days and involving over 15,000 pages of submissions. Justice Smith dismissed claims by Gina Rinehart's children, John Hancock and Bianca Rinehart, for ownership of Hope Downs tenements, stating their claim failed at the first hurdle. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC report that Justice Smith found Lang Hancock's actions were fraudulent, but Hancock Prospecting's lawyer Jay Newby stated in a statement that earlier media reports of fraud were plainly wrong. The ABC and Newscomau report that Hancock Prospecting estimates the annual payment to Wright Prospecting as $14 million, while Wright Prospecting claims the amount could be up to $900 million. The Guardian and ABC report that the court case began in 2010, but The Guardian also mentions that the trial took place in 2023, while Newscomau states the judgment was handed down in 2026, indicating a timeline of over 15 years. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 4 of 24. Marie-Louise Eta becomes first woman to coach a men's team in Europe's top 5 leagues. Marie-Louise Eta becomes first woman to coach a men's team in Europe's top 5 leagues. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Marie-Louise Eta, 34, will become the first woman to coach a men's team in Europe's top 5 leagues, Bundesliga, Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, League One, when she leads Union Berlin on the 20th of April, 2026. Eta was appointed interim head coach of Union Berlin after Stefan Baumgart was sacked following a 3-1 loss to Heidenheim on the 13th of April, 2026. Union Berlin are currently 11th in the Bundesliga with 2 wins in their last 14 games, 7 points clear of the relegation playoff spot with 5 games remaining. Eta previously served as Union Berlin's first female assistant coach in Bundesliga history, 2024, and currently coaches their U19 team. Eta has a playing pedigree, including 3 Bundesliga titles and the Champions League with Turbine Potsdam, and was promoted from Union Berlin's women's team coaching staff. But not all outlets told the same story. The ABC article states Eta is the youngest of the admittedly youth-leaning Bundesliga head coaching cohort, while The Guardian does not explicitly claim this, focusing instead on her experience. The ABC article mentions Eta's nickname is Louis, while The Guardian refers to her as Marie-Louise throughout, with no contradiction in spelling her full name. The ABC article highlights that Eta is the first woman to coach a men's team in any of Europe's top 5 leagues, while The Guardian emphasizes her appointment as the first in a competitive fixture, though both agree on the historical significance. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 5 of 24. Toddler's preventable death at Perth Hospital due to missed blood test diagnosis. Toddler's preventable death at Perth Hospital due to missed blood test diagnosis. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Sandy Panthor, a 21-month-old boy, died on March 24, 2024, at Joondalup Health Campus in Perth, WA, after suffering from undiagnosed acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Sandipan's parents took him to the Joondalup Health Campus Emergency Department twice in 3 days, March 22 and March 24, 2024, and requested a blood test, which was ignored both times. Acting State Coroner Sarah Linton found that Sandipan's death was probably preventable and that there was a missed opportunity to perform a blood test on March 22, 2024. Senior Emergency Department Consultant Dr. Yi Seo did not read the GP referral letter requesting a blood test and was not informed of the family's request by the junior doctor, Dr. Caolan O'Hearane. An autopsy revealed Sandipan had undiagnosed acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which could have been treated if diagnosed earlier. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states that Ramsay Healthcare referred clinicians to AHPRA for review but no restrictions were enforced, while Newscomau does not mention AHPRA's involvement or the outcome of clinician reviews. ABC describes Sandipan's death as probably preventable, while Newscomau explicitly calls it highly preventable, a stronger phrasing. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 6 of 24. Death of ABC radio presenter James Valentine at 64 after cancer battle. Death of ABC radio presenter James Valentine at 64 after cancer battle. Here's what every outlet agrees on. James Valentine died on April 23, 2026, aged 64, after a 2-year battle with cancer. Valentine used voluntary assisted dying, VAD, at home surrounded by family on April 23, 2026. Valentine hosted ABC Radio Sydney's Afternoons programme for 25 years, retiring in February 2026. Valentine was diagnosed with esophageal cancer in March 2024 and returned to treatment in 2025 after new tumours were discovered. Valentine was awarded a Member of the Order of Australia, AM, posthumously, with the medal presented to his children Ruby and Roy on April 20, 2026. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and SMH state Valentine died on April 23, 2026, but Article 1, Guardian, initially mentions his death was reported on April 22, 2026, which may be a timestamp error. Article 1, Guardian, mentions Valentine's death was reported alongside NDIS news, while other sources focus solely on his death and tributes. Article 1, Guardian, includes rental vacancy data and NDIS funding changes as part of the same live blog, which is not covered in other articles. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, SBS News, and Sydney Morning Herald. Story 7 of 24. Death of Australian writer David Malouf at age 92. Death of Australian writer David Malouf at age 92. Here's what every outlet agrees on. David Malouf died on the 22nd of April, 2026 at age 92. Malouf was born on the 20th of March, 1934 in Brisbane, Queensland. His father, George, was a Lebanese Christian boxer. His mother, Welcome Wilhelmina, née Mendoza, was English with Sephardic Jewish descent. Malouf's first published poetry collection, Bicycle and Other Poems appeared in 1970. His debut novel, Jono 1975, was semi-autobiographical and set in wartime Brisbane. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian and ABC state Malouf died on the 22nd of April, 2026, but news.com.au says he died on Wednesday night, the 23rd of April, without specifying the exact date. The Guardian says Malouf's mother was descended from Sephardic Jews, while ABC describes her as of Portuguese and Sephardic Jewish descent. ABC states Malouf's 1978 novella An Imaginary Life won the NSW Premier's Literary Award, but The Guardian does not mention this award. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 8 of 24. Billionaire Judith Neilson's ex-staffer Annalouise Spence charged with $1.6 million fraud. Billionaire Judith Neilson's ex-staffer Annalouise Spence charged with $1.6 million fraud. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Annalouise Spence, 50, was charged with 68 counts of dishonestly obtaining property by deception from Judith Neilson. Spence allegedly spent over $1.6 million, ABC, or $1.5 million, The Age SMH, on luxury items, including clothing, artwork, and jewelry, using Neilson's credit cards and accounts between March 2023 and September 2025. Spence was arrested on Wednesday, April 23, 2026, at her home in Sydney's Inner West, Erskineville, after a police raid. Police executed search warrants at Spence's home in Erskineville and a storage unit in Campbelltown, seizing luxury items including handbags, jewelry, clothing, and artwork. Spence was denied bail on April 23, 2026, and is due to appear in court again on May 7, 2026. But not all outlets told the same story. The ABC reports Spence allegedly spent $1.6 million, while The Age and SMH report $1.5 million. The Guardian states the fraud was detected after a $58,600 Rolex watch charge, but The Age and SMH mention a $58,593 charge for a pink gold Rolex wristwatch. The Age and SMH mention Spence's dog Bennett's grooming costs, but only The Age specifies the $1,000 weekly cost and Terrigal pet resort stays. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 9 of 24. Shooting at Mexico's Teotihuacan pyramids leaves 1 dead, 6 injured. Shooting at Mexico's Teotihuacan pyramids leaves 1 dead, 6 injured. Here's what every outlet agrees on. One Canadian tourist, a 32-year-old woman, was killed and 6 others injured in a shooting at the Pyramid of the Moon in Teotihuacan, Mexico, on April 21, 2026, around 11:30 a.m. local time. The shooter, who was armed with a gun and a knife, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 4 people were wounded by gunshots, and 2 were injured from falling during the incident. The victims included tourists from Colombia, Russia, and Canada, with 4 gunshot wounds and 2 related injuries. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum expressed solidarity with the victims and their families and stated the incident would be investigated. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states the fatal victim was a 32-year-old female from Canada, while ABC and Newscomau do not specify her age but confirm her nationality. ABC and Newscomau mention 2 victims were injured from falling, while The Guardian only mentions 1 victim with a broken bone from falling. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 10 of 24. Australian billionaire's waste-to-energy incinerator plan in Fiji sparks backlash. Australian billionaire's waste-to-energy incinerator plan in Fiji sparks backlash. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The proposed waste-to-energy incinerator in Fiji is backed by Australian billionaire Ian Malouf and his business partner Rob Crome, Kukai fashion label. The project is estimated to cost $630 million, Guardian, or $900 million, ABC, with a capacity to burn 900,000 tons of non-recyclable waste annually. The incinerator is proposed to be built within 15 kilometers 9 miles of Fiji's tourism gateway Nodi, near the Vuda coast. The project would generate up to 80 megawatts of power annually, potentially meeting 40 to 45% of Fiji's electricity needs. The incinerator would burn waste at over 850 degrees Celsius, producing steam for electricity and some residual ash for road base or landfill. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports the project costs $630 million, while the ABC reports it costs $900 million. The Guardian states the incinerator would raise Fiji's national emissions by 25%, but the ABC does not mention this specific figure. The Guardian notes that Chrome's statement to The Guardian denies importing overseas waste, while the ABC reports Chrome told the ABC the plant would primarily handle Fiji's domestic waste but acknowledges uncertainty in waste volume data. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 11 of 24. Man charged over alleged threats to blow up Perth airport terminal, causing lockdown and flight delays. Man charged over alleged threats to blow up Perth airport terminal, causing lockdown and flight delays. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kieran Beau James Hedges, 57, appeared in Perth Magistrates Court on April 23, 2026, charged with making a false communication inferred as a threat to a Commonwealth aerodrome, Perth Airport Terminal 1. The incident occurred on April 22, 2026, at Perth Airport's Terminal 1, leading to its evacuation and flight delays. A suspicious unattended backpack was found outside Terminal 1, prompting an exclusion zone and bomb squad investigation. Terminal 1 was closed for several hours, with passengers allowed back in at around 6:30 p.m. on April 22, 2026. Hedges was arrested in Perth CBD shortly after the incident and initially faced 2 charges, with 1 later dropped. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Hedges was not represented in court, while Newscomau does not mention his legal representation status. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 12 of 24. French probe into Elon Musk and X over child abuse, deepfakes, Holocaust denial. French probe into Elon Musk and X over child abuse, deepfakes, Holocaust denial. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Elon Musk and Linda Yaccarino were summoned for voluntary interviews in Paris on April 20, 2026, as part of a French investigation into X, formerly Twitter. The investigation was opened in January 2025 by the Paris prosecutor's cybercrime unit and expanded after X's AI system Grok generated Holocaust denial content and sexually explicit deepfakes. Grok generated an estimated 3 million sexualized images, including 23,000 depicting children, in 11 days, according to the Center for Countering Digital Hate, CCDH. French prosecutors searched X's Paris offices in February 2026 as part of the investigation. The investigation includes allegations of complicity in possessing child sexual abuse material, denial of crimes against humanity, and manipulation of automated data processing systems. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states French prosecutors summoned Musk and Yaccarino in their capacities as managers of X at the time of the events, while Newscomer does not explicitly mention this detail. The Guardian reports that Musk and Yaccarino were summoned in February 2026, but Newscomer states the summons occurred in February, without specifying the exact date, and the interview was scheduled for April 20, 2026, without clarifying the timing of the initial summons. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Story 13 of 24. Australia invests $30 million in counter-drone tech amid global conflicts. Australia invests $30 million in counter-drone tech amid global conflicts. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Australian government allocated $30 million to two companies for counter-drone technology, $10.4 million to SIPAC for the Corvo strike drone and $21.3 million to AIM Defence for the Fractal laser system. The $30 million investment is part of a $7 billion total funding commitment for counter-drone measures over the next 10 years under the Integrated Investment Programme, IIP. The Fractal laser system by AIM Defence can track objects as small as a 10-cent piece travelling at over 100 km per hour and burn through steel. SIPAC's Corvo strike drone is designed to track, target, and destroy larger drones, building on its previous supply of cheap cardboard drones to Ukraine. Defence Industry Minister Pat Conroy stated that Australia must avoid relying on expensive missiles, e.g., $3 million, to shoot down cheap drones, e.g., $100,000 or $30,000. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the $7 billion counter-drone funding is part of a $7 billion total investment over 10 years, while Newscomer frames it as a doubling of investment following the 2026 National Defence Strategy without specifying the prior total. ABC mentions the $30 million contracts as a small slice of the $7 billion, while Newscomer describes the $30 million as part of a doubled investment without clarifying the baseline figure. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 14 of 24. Fourth suspect charged in mistaken identity kidnapping murder of Chris Bagsarian in Sydney. Fourth suspect charged in mistaken identity kidnapping murder of Chris Bagsarian in Sydney. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Chris Bagsarian, 85, was abducted from his North Ryde home in Sydney's northwest on February 13, 2026, around 5 a.m. in a case of mistaken identity. Bagsarian's remains were found near a golf course in Pitt Town on February 24, 2026, at 8 a.m. A 19-year-old man was arrested and charged on April 21, 2026, with murder and kidnapping with intent to ransom or occasion bodily harm. The suspect was refused bail and appeared in Mount Druitt Local Court on April 22, 2026, or April 21, depending on source, see contradictions. 3 other men remain charged in relation to the case and are before the courts. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and Guardian say the suspect was due to appear in court on April 22, 2026, but ABC and Newscomer say the arrest happened on April 21, 2026, with the court appearance on April 22. Timing of events is consistent, but phrasing differs. ABC states the suspect was refused bail and is due before Mount Druitt Local Court today, April 21, while Newskamau says he will appear on April 22, likely a time zone or reporting delay issue. ABC mentions the suspect was arrested at Mount Druitt police station, while Newskamau specifies the arrest was by Strike Force Chabot detectives at the same location. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Story 15 of 24. Anzac Day 2026 public holiday rules and double demerits across Australia. Anzac Day 2026 public holiday rules and double demerits across Australia. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anzac Day falls on a Saturday in 2026, April 25. NSW, Western Australia, and the ACT grant a public holiday on Monday, April 27, 2026, following Anzac Day. Northern Territory, Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, and South Australia do not have a public holiday on Monday, April 27, 2026. NSW and the ACT have double demerit points for driving offences from 12:01 a.m. Friday, April 24, to 11:59 p.m. Monday, April 27, 2026. WA's double demerit regime applies from 12:01 a.m. Friday, April 24, to 11:59 p.m. Monday, April 27, 2026, covering more offences, e.g., drunk driving, red lights. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, SBS, does not mention the Act's initial refusal to recognise Saturday, April 25, as a public holiday, while Article 2, Newskamau, reports this detail. This story was covered by news.com.au and SBS News. Story 16 of 24. Australia's debate over taxing gas export profits and PRRT reform. Australia's debate over taxing gas export profits and PRRT reform. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Conrad Benjamin, a former school teacher and creator of the social media account Punters Politics, testified before the Senate inquiry into gas taxation on April 21, 2026, criticising Australia for giving away liquefied natural gas, LNG, for free. The current petroleum resource rent tax, PRRT, generated approximately $1.5 billion in revenue for the Australian government in 2025, which is less than the $2.7 billion raised from beer excise. Richard Dennis, executive director of the Australia Institute, stated that Japan collects about $8 billion annually from taxes on imported Australian gas and coal, more than Australia's $1.4 billion PRRT revenue. Federal Senator David Pocock has led the campaign for reform, comparing the PRRT's revenue to beer excise and arguing that Australia is foregoing billions in potential gas tax revenue. The Australian Energy Producers (AEP) industry body reported that gas companies contributed $21.9 billion in taxes and royalties in 2024-25, making them Australia's second-largest corporate taxpayer. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian implies a Greens-led inquiry focus, while news.com.au does not emphasise party leadership in the inquiry framing. The Guardian mentions a 100% windfall tax proposal by Ken Henry, which is not referenced in news.com.au. News.com.au cites a $1.5 billion PRRT revenue figure for 2025, while The Guardian does not specify the year for its $1.4 billion figure, likely 2025. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Story 17 of 24. ARN Media countersues Kyle Sandilands and Jackie O. Henderson over contract disputes and bullying allegations. ARN Media countersues Kyle Sandilands and Jackie O. Henderson over contract disputes and bullying allegations. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kyle Sandilands and Jackie O. Henderson were co-hosts of ARN Media's The Kyle and Jackie O. Show on Kiss FM for over 20 years. The show's termination followed an on-air dispute on February 20, 2026, where Sandilands allegedly called Henderson off with the fairies. ARN Media's subsidiary, Commonwealth Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, filed a counterclaim against Sandilands and Henderson seeking damages for breach of contract, lost advertising revenue, and legal costs. Sandilands and Henderson each sued ARN Media separately, seeking at least $85 million and $82 million respectively, with combined claims exceeding $160 million. ARN Media claims it is entitled to claw back 87.92% of a $3 million signing bonus paid to Sandilands' company, Quasar Media, totaling $2,637,732. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and Thij SMH report that Henderson's lawyers claimed ARN was aware of bullying, but Newskamau states ARN argues Henderson Media, not CBC, was responsible for her safety under their contract. ABC states Henderson's lawyers warned ARN of a SafeWork NSW ruling against it, but Thij SMH imply ARN may not be liable due to Henderson's manager declaring the issue resolved. Thij SMH claims Sandilands was sacked in March 2026, but ABC does not specify a sacking date, only that the dispute led to the show's abrupt end in February 2026. This story was covered by ABC News, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Story 18 of 24. 4 educators plead not guilty to assaulting students at a Queanbeyan school. 4 educators plead not guilty to assaulting students at a Queanbeyan school. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 4 educators, including the principal, pleaded not guilty to assaulting 2 students aged 9 and 10 at a regional NSW school in Queanbeyan. The alleged assaults occurred between August 2024 and June 2025. 2 women, aged 65 and 63, and a man, aged 38, each face 1 charge of common assault against 1 boy, while a 46-year-old man faces 3 charges, 2 against 1 boy and 1 against another. The educators were not present in court when their not guilty pleas were entered, with lawyers representing them. The accused educators are not currently working at the school, and the matter was reported to the NSW Department of Education's Professional and Ethical Standards Directorate. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states the charges were announced in March 2026, while ABC does not mention this specific timeline for the announcement. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 19 of 24. St George Illawarra Dragons appoint interim coach Dean Young after firing Shane Flanagan. St George Illawarra Dragons appoint interim coach Dean Young after firing Shane Flanagan. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Dean Young was named interim head coach of the St George Illawarra Dragons on or around April 19, 2026, replacing Shane Flanagan after an 11-game losing streak. Young previously served as interim coach for the Dragons in 2020, replacing Paul McGregor. Young played 209 games for the Dragons, including a premiership win in 2010. The Dragons board met on April 19, 2026, to discuss the coaching job, which was a high priority. Young's appointment is for at least the remainder of the 2026 NRL season. But not all outlets told the same story. The SMH states Dean Young was behind Ben Hornby and Brad Arthur for the full-time coaching role, while the ABC does not mention Arthur or explicitly state Young was behind Hornby. The SMH claims the Dragons board met on Tuesday, April 19, to discuss the coaching job, while the ABC does not specify the exact day of the board meeting but confirms the appointment was made after an 11-game losing streak. The SMH mentions Young's role in Francis Molo's exit is an issue, but the ABC does not reference this controversy. This story was covered by ABC News and Sydney Morning Herald. Story 20 of 24. Australian actor Alicia Gardner faces dropped assault charges after Parliament House protest. Australian actor Alicia Gardner faces dropped assault charges after Parliament House protest. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Alicia Gardner is accused of twisting a woman's breast during a pro-Palestinian protest at Parliament House in Melbourne on May 7, 2024. The incident occurred after protesters were escorted out of the public gallery during a speech by then-Treasurer Tim Pallas. Gardner was due to give evidence at a Melbourne Magistrates Court hearing on April 22, 2026, before charges were dropped. Gardner pleaded guilty to refusing to leave the parliamentary precinct and was fined $500 without conviction. The alleged victim, a parliamentary worker, described feeling a sharp pain and stated Gardner twisted my breast during the scuffle. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states body-worn camera footage was played in court showing the incident, while ABC reports the alleged breast-grabbing was not captured on camera. News Kamau implies the scuffle involved Gardner attempting to enter the legislative chamber, while ABC frames it as occurring while protesters were being escorted to the exit. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 21 of 24. Trump envoy proposes replacing Iran with Italy at World Cup to mend political ties. Trump envoy proposes replacing Iran with Italy at World Cup to mend political ties. Here's what every outlet agrees on. U.S. Special Envoy Paolo Zampoli suggested to Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino that Italy replace Iran at the 2026 World Cup. Italy failed to qualify for the 2026 World Cup for the third time in succession after a 4-1 penalty shootout loss to Bosnia and Herzegovina in March 2026. Iran qualified for its fourth consecutive World Cup and requested FIFA move its matches from the US to Mexico due to the Iran war. The 2026 World Cup is scheduled to begin on June 11th, with Iran set to play its opener against New Zealand in Los Angeles on June 15th. Iran's Football Federation President Mehdi Taj stated the team is preparing for the World Cup and will participate unless FIFA relocates matches. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian states Iran issued a statement on April 23, 2026, confirming participation unless matches are relocated, while ABC does not explicitly mention this statement but reports Iran is preparing to participate. The Guardian mentions Reuters could not immediately verify the Financial Times report, while ABC does not mention verification issues. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 22 of 24. Head-on train collision in Denmark injures 17, 4 critically. Head-on train collision in Denmark injures 17, 4 critically. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 2 local trains collided head-on north of Copenhagen on the Hillerød-Kagerup line. At least 17 people were injured, with 4 in critical condition. The incident occurred on the 23rd of April, 2026, Thursday, between Hillerød and Kagerup. Both trains were yellow and grey with visible front damage, facing each other in a wooded area. All passengers were evacuated, no one was trapped. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Story 23 of 24. Severe storm with possible tornado microburst damages homes in Bunbury, WA. Severe storm with possible tornado microburst damages homes in Bunbury, WA. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A severe weather warning for damaging winds was issued for the southwest and south coastal areas of Western Australia on Monday, April 21, 2026, and remained active until 3:45 a.m. WST on Tuesday, April 22, 2026. Damaging wind gusts of 124 km per hour were recorded at Busselton Jetty at 1:57 a.m. WST on Tuesday, April 22, 2026. The storm caused localized damage in East Bunbury, including roofs ripped off homes and power lines downed, affecting approximately 170 homes and businesses. The Bureau of Meteorology, BOM, is investigating whether the event was a tornado or microburst, with evidence currently insufficient for confirmation. The storm occurred around 7:30 to 8 p.m. WST on Monday, April 21, 2026, in Bunbury. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states the storm brought winds in excess of 120 km per hour, while ABC reports winds exceeding 100 km per hour without specifying a higher threshold. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Story 24 of 24. Sydney police shootings and officer injuries in separate incidents involving stolen vehicles. Sydney police shootings and officer injuries in separate incidents involving stolen vehicles. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 39-year-old officer was injured in the lower leg after being pinned between two vehicles by a stolen Toyota CHR on Juno Parade and Punchbowl Road, Sydney, around 8:40 p.m. on April 22, 2026. The officer discharged his firearm, striking the stolen Toyota before it drove off, leaving bullet holes in the windshield. A 32-year-old man was found with a gunshot wound in a yard on Squires Street, Ryde, and taken to hospital in stable condition under police guard. The stolen Toyota was abandoned on Richard Johnson Crescent, Ryde, shortly after the incident. Police urged the public to contact Crime Stoppers with information, footage, or imagery related to the incident. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the incident occurred in Greenacre, while News Kamau specifies Punchbowl, both in Sydney's west, but different suburbs. ABC mentions a 26-year-old man in critical condition from a separate shooting incident, but News Kamau does not report this. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au.